This is our Jayco Eagle pop-top van, and I am having a go at fitting an access hatch over on this side, on the left of the door, so that we can access this cupboard from the outside. We can't fit a toolbox on our drawbar because of the gas tank's position and the spare wheel mount. So far I have made a template out of cardboard. Here it is, which I've used to then draw around and cut out this section from the inside of the van. And I've just popped it in place. It's just sitting there, the outer frame for the access hatch. Next, I attached my cardboard template to the inside of my van and just marked a few lines with a black texture, and I have drilled a few holes through from the inside, which I'm now going to go around to the outside and attach my template so it lines up hopefully perfectly with the inside. There's a bit I've been nervous about. I brought the cardboard template outside, lined it up with the holes, double checked everything, double checked my door outside part and lined that up just to make sure I wasn't doing anything that I might regret later. But now's the moment of truth. I'm going to actually cut into the outside of the van. Here goes nothing. Right, well, I'm all in now. The hole is in the van, but I think it's all going to be okay. So I used a combination of my angle grinder and also the jigsaw to go around the corners. And I've just got, you can see the plastic insert still on the inside. And now my door, which I'm going to fit, I think, upside down so that when the door is open, excuse me, filming all over the place, when the door is open, it'll be hanging down and out the way. So this is going to go in. I'm going to fiddle around with this now. So I've made a beginner's mistake here in that I wasn't sure of the width of the between the inside veneered timber and the outside of the van, and I found that I have a gap in between my inner plastic and the outer, so I've got to do a bit of a thinking about a solution for that. Other than that though, I'm sure that's rectifiable. Other than that, it's going okay. I've now used the outer door frame to create a cardboard stencil, which I'm going to use the part of the panel that I took out from outside the van, which is going to become the insert for the door. So today I am going to screw the inner and outer parts of the frame together. Last night I managed to cut the piece of aluminium from the outside with the template that I'd made, and that fits in beautifully. So now I'm going to work on screwing these parts together, cleaning it up a little bit, and coming up with some kind of solution for the gap that I have in between. With the profile on the outside of the van, there's quite a gap because there's quite a ridge there, so I'm just going to have a go at seeing if I can push that in a little bit so that it sits a bit flatter, and that should reduce the gap that I have on the inside as well. I've just cut a piece of timber to reinforce the wall here. There's quite a cavity and it's not particularly strong. There's a lot of flexibility there, so this piece of timber will just brace between the top and bottom, which just happened to be a perfect size for the access door that I have purchased. So that's just going to slide in there in between the two in a moment when I've got two hands. I now have my timber in place. It's been glued and screwed and also stapled from the inside. So now I've just done a dry run, making sure my screws all line up on each of the 4 corners, just making sure it's opening and closing okay, which it is. Although I have to say the lock on this one that I've bought, not particularly impressed with the plastic mechanism on the inside. That's something to keep an eye out for. In future, I think I'll ensure that I had a metal locking mechanism. I have some concerns about the resilience of this and how long it's going to last. So next step is to silicone, take it off, place a bead of silicone around the edge and screw it back together. I think that should be it. I'd like to get some polystyrene for the door insert to fill this gap here, and then just place on top of it for the inside of the door the same timber laminate that I cut out from the first place. I'd like to use polystyrene as the infill just to keep the door weight really light. They're very, the hinges are not heavy duty, so I don't really want to fill this in with timber, as I fear that the door then may be too heavy. So it's all installed with silicone beading around the edge now as well, and I'm just mucking around with the door insert. I could not find any polystyrene today, as I mentioned earlier, so I've made a frame, try to keep the weight down, not being solid, and now I'm just using my good old stencil for the 3rd time to cut the original timber laminate board from the inside, which will fit over the top of this frame, and then it should all be done. So I've cut the laminate now. It's going to match the old daggy inside of the old Eagle van anyway, and so that just sits on there, and we have this insert that goes across the top, and these come with little metal clips, which I couldn't work out what they were for at first, but they dig into the plastic, and I'll show you how they work shortly on, but it should all go together quite neatly like so. These small metal clips came with the door. There's no instructions with this door, which I bought online from eBay whatsoever, so I was watching some other videos online and just saw these in place, but there was no reference to them, but it was enough for me to work out what they did. So they just go onto the plastic inserts like so. I won't push it on just yet, they're a bit hard to get off. There are small little metal jagged edges which dig into the plastic, so they tend to go on but don't like to come off. So they go in place on this rim now, which will then get pushed into the door recess there and shouldn't come off again. So I've placed some of these clips in place. You can tell that little jagged metal part digs into the plastic. It'll be very difficult to get back off again. I'm going to place my frame for my door, my panel into there. That'll just slot in fine, hopefully. All this is difficult to do with one hand, of course. That all went together, snapped together, and doesn't want to come out again. Seems really quite secure. And so that's it. So now I'll be able to get my toolbox and my electricity cables and ropes and so on without having to go into the van. And not a professional job, that's for sure, but for an amateur, first time, pretty happy with how that's come up.